So the pupil goes to the master, and he says, Master, how do I get rid of suffering in my life? The master simply looks at the pupil and says, get rid of desire. The pupil at that point just kind of sits back and thinks for a little while. The master then looks at the pupil and says, what are you thinking about? He goes, I'm desiring to get rid of desire. The point is, life is suffering. That's the first noble truth of the Buddha, right? Life is suffering. Life is hard. You know, as much positive vibes or whatever you want to put out there is absolutely something that can help, but you will go through trials. You will go through tribulations. You will be deceived. You will make mistakes. It's normal. Now, a lot of times people, take on a huge load and they think, well, I don't know if I can bear this. I don't know if I can do this by myself. The quick answer is, well, you can do it. You want to motivate them. You can do this. Everybody can do this. Just think positive. Just think, a lot of people, they go and they get help from others who are good at, their intuition allows them to lock in and help them with a universal understanding of positive thought and the power of attraction and these things. And I'm not downing these things whatsoever. But until you get to that point in your life where you're saying, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I need to make a change, it's going to be tough and tougher. The hard is more of a state of mind than the realities that a lot of us live in. Hard can be a learned behavior. As we watched our parents deal with hard things, in a lot of ways we mimic that. We mimic that. That's where a lot of anxiety comes from. If your mom, especially your mom, or whoever the main nurturer was, who had a lot of anxiety and overreacted to things, more than likely that's going to be something that will be inherited by you and me. There's many paths that people go down, and some paths you go down and the whole purpose of going down that path is realizing I should not go down that path. You come to the dead end, you're like, okay, there's a reason why I shouldn't have gone down this path, and so you go back and take a new path. And then people's like, well, that's not a giant waste of time. Is it a waste of time? How much knowledge did you gain from that? Or I should say, how much wisdom did you gain from that? Probably more than you think. As a little child, we all touch something hot, because the concept of hot is not something that you can understand until you feel something that burns you. At which point the child realizes that I should not touch these things because they are hot. Thus, a child gains wisdom. And then from that point forward, when they go to touch something and it feels warm, or the parent yells, no, don't touch that, it is hot, they will immediately jerk their hand back because they know what hot is. How many times do we find ourselves repeating patterns? It seems like the same thing happens over and over and over again. It's like trying to run a marathon with your left foot nailed to the floor. You're just running in circles, and it was wearing you out. I once had a conversation with a lady or a younger lady, and she was saying how, for the last, I don't remember if it was 6 to 9 months, let's just say the last 9 months I've dated 6 guys, and they're all jerks. And she proceeded to tell me why each of these 6 guys were jerks and how she just had to let them go, and but yet she feels lonely at this time. And I looked at her and I said, what's the common denominator with the last 6 relationships that you've been in? You. So maybe it is. Maybe it was you. Maybe it is the reason why things are not working out the way they should, or you feel like that things shouldn't be the way they are. You know, the factor could be you. Taking responsibility for myself and my actions is all the control that I truly have. I can't control anything else but this bubble around me. That's all the action. That's the only control I truly have. I can set boundaries for my children. I can set, rules and regulations for employees. But when it comes down to it, I have no control over them. You just hope and pray that they obey the rules and not play in the street, right? We live in a time of uncertainty. We have so much information that's constantly bombarding us. Where do we turn? Where do we go? If you truly find yourself stuck, maybe it's a career or a state of mind, a relationship with a spouse, just relationships in general, human connections, if you find yourself where you just feel like you're not progressing any longer, it's time to take a time out. Reflect upon yourself. What is it about yourself that needs to be fixed? Now, when I say fixed, I'm not saying that it's gonna go away, but maybe it's just an acknowledgement. Maybe it's just an acknowledgement and acceptance. Personal tragedy happens to all of us. That's a fact. Some things happen worse to others than other people, but it all happens to us. We're all tried. We're all go down that path of hard stuff, loss, etc. But what can you do about it? There's really nothing you can do about it. A lot of times things happen to us in the past, and we're like, well, that's unfair. That pisses me off. That makes me angry. Okay, but what is that doing for you right here, right now, in this moment, time, space? So you have to accept the fact that things happen to you. It was not your control. Maybe you're a child that was hurt. Okay, I get that, and I'm not trying to say that I don't have sympathy for those type of things. But accepting the fact that there is nothing I can do to go back to that situation and reverse it. All I can do is move forward. And that realization, that acceptance will bring strength. It'll bring strength. It's not that hard. We make life harder than it really needs to be. We work harder than we really need to work at these emotional and these issues. Right? So when a person is starting to transcend, that transition from one state of being to the next, some marvelous things start happening. The first thing is acknowledging that I got some stuff I got to deal with. 2 is accepting that I got a lot of stuff to deal with. 3 is finding a better way of handling these situations. If you're doing your best and you're still failing, the possibility you're best being an idiot is a very strong possibility. Look for somebody else who can help. Become humble enough to where you stop and you wait for the teacher. When the pupil is ready, the teacher will appear. Because sometimes we don't know what's best for us. Sometimes our best for us is a generation of dysfunction that affected my parents' parents, and so on and so forth. Think about it. Life is adventure.